Was good. Was never media's in the building. Now let's pay attention to this. Delta is offering $30,000 for the crash that happened in the Toronto Pearson Airport, where a crash landed upside down and it was on fire. And Delta is trying to give 76 passengers who was on that plane, each passenger gets $30,000. And then you add that up, that's over $2.2 million. Mind you, Delta Airlines is worth $40 billion. They basically gave each passenger 3 cents to the people who survived the plane crash. That was their fault. And then they are still facing their first lawsuit in Toronto, because the passenger says he was drenched with jet fuel. Less than 2 days after Delta Airlines offered $30,000 to each passenger on board the flight that crashed and flipped in Toronto on Monday afternoon, the company is facing its first lawsuit in the incident, and it likely won't be the last. Delta would be shelling out approximately $2.3 million in total if all 76 passengers that were on it subsidiary Endeavor Air's CRJ 900 aircraft took his offer. But one Texas man says he deserves more, and he should. In a newly filed lawsuit, the passenger says being suspended upside down and drenched with jet fuel caused him severe emotional distress and mental anguish. He says he also suffered significant injuries to his head, neck, back, knees, and face. There may be more lawsuits to come due to the Montreal Convention, an international treaty that governs how airlines are liable for passengers' injuries, baggage damage, and cargo loss. So $30,000 for each passenger is not going to cut it. It's not going to cut it. So under the treaty, passengers who are hurt on international flights can be compensated up to $200,000. But it could be more if the airline is found to be negligent. Passengers have 2 years to, Passengers have 2 years to file a lawsuit under the treaty. Each passenger is allowed to get 200 bands. 200 bands. Times that by 76 passengers. That's $15.2 million. That's what they deserve. Each passenger deserves 200 bands. Not no 30,000. Delta out here trying to lowball the people who pay for these tickets, because the first class tickets are pretty pennies, and the ones behind them are pretty pennies as well. So 21 people were hospitalized following the crash landing of the flight that originated in Minneapolis St. Paul International Airport on Thursday. Delta CEO Ed Bastian announced all have since been released. So, on Thursday, Delta also released more information on the flight's captain and first officer amid false online rumors that both had failed training events. The company says both are certified by the Federal Aviation Administration, and the captain has served in pilot training and flight safety capacities. The first officer, who was hired last year by Endeavor, also has the highest level pilot certification in the U.S. So the investigation into why the flight crash continues, with crews from the National Transportation Safety Board and the FAA assisting their Canadian counterparts. Delta officials declined to comment on the pending litigations. What you got going on, Delta? You owe the passengers more than $30,000. Delta Airlines is already a $1 billion company. You trying to lowball the passengers? That's crazy work. Crazy work, man.